Ahoy there. Today on the Red Sea, the car ahead of me paid for my coffee this morning. So I decided to return the favor by paying for the person behind me. I was then told that I was 8th person in a row to pay it forward. Any of you experience an unexpected pay it forward moment like that recently? My family does stuff like this every year. Sometimes it's meals at restaurants for a family. Other times it's paying for coffee or movie tickets for the person behind you. It's amazing when it starts a chain reaction like that. Another thing that I highly recommend is going to a 24/hour place for dessert late on Christmas Eve. We usually go to Denny's, order dessert and drop a really big tip on the server. We usually give a big tip to the busboy, too. The joy in people's faces. It's amazing. Restaurants are awesome places to do this. One time, I was out with a few friends and were sent a bottle of top quality champagne. Some rich couple a few tables away really liked how much fun we were having and decided to fuel the fire. Ever since, we have made it a point to send a bottle of proper, but more affordable bubbles to another table whenever we're with the same group. The responses are amazing. It's like people have won the lottery, and honestly, that's how I felt as well when those people at first sent us that bottle. It's unexpected, random, unnecessary, and all that makes it so joyous. I worked under ice cream parlor and once had a guy give me a 20 and told me to pay for the next person. Next person was a grumpy old man that told me to duck off and that he can pay for himself. We grew up very poor, and as a child my mother always took a calculator and not a pad to the store to see how much food we could afford. We made our cycle around the store, then parked our cart in a quiet corner while she ran the numbers to see what we had to put back. My mother would sometimes apologize to me with tears in her eyes as she put back juice or cookies or some other favorite of mine, and I would always try to act like I was not disappointed. It's okay, mama, we'll have juice next time. By the time I was a teenager, we were in a much better financial situation. One day we were in line at the grocery store and there was a young mother behind us. I was not paying attention, but my mother overheard something that let her know this woman was struggling just like we had. When my mother wrote out the check to pay for our groceries, people used to do this, youngins. She handed the grocer a second check with a note that she was paying for her groceries as well. To sum it up, I watched my mother pay for another woman's groceries. I was a waitress for a short time, barely making it by myself, and I saw a woman in a similar situation. She had 2 young boys and was obviously trying to treat them to something special. However, she had a very strict budget, and when it came time to order, she asked me to add up the boys' meal totals before she picked out her meal, so she could stay in budget. She was extremely polite about it, and I was more than willing to oblige. Unfortunately, after adding up the drinks and kids' meals, there was not much left for her meal. She sheepishly asked if there was any way I could take the soda back to the kitchen, as I had just delivered it, and take it off the bill. I was more than willing to oblige, since soda costs the business about 5 cents a glass. I left her the soda, made sure they got as much extra food as I could get them, and made sure the kids had to go cups full of milk before they left. I wish I had been able to just outright pay for their meal, but I was barely able to buy food for myself at the time. She left me a $1 tip, a dollar she obviously did not have to give away. It was number 15%, but it was the most important tip I ever got. I keep that dollar pinned up on my wall to remind me to never be selfish. I hope someday I can be like your mother and pay it forward. I have done this before at a drive-thru. I was at a Little Caesars waiting for my pizza, and a truck pulls up behind me. It was later at night, and he had his lights on. He turned his lights off. He did not have to, but it was a nice gesture, so I paid for 2 hot and readies for him. A few years ago, a friend of mine and I were doing a long, involved rock climb in the middle of the American Southwest desert. We were still relatively inexperienced rock climbers, and it would be fair to say that we were in over our heads. Before too long, it had gotten dark, and as some of you might know, the desert ends up getting terribly cold at night, and as it was still early spring, we knew that we did not want to be caught on the top of this tower at night with little shelter from the element. On top of that, my friend has Raynaud's disease and is mildly hypoglycemic. By the time the sun had set, her hands were blue, she was starting to bark, and was in poor shape to either climb up or down. We quickly realized that the smartest thing to do at this point was to get the hell off of the climb because of the nature of the climb. However, it was necessary that we leave our rope up there, along with roughly $100 of gear to anchor our rope to the wall. Other climbers we weren't, not at a bolted belay, and there was nothing convenient to wrap off of. even if I could have spent a night on top of Castleton. I knew that my friend was in no condition to do so we abandoned ship, leaving our rope, a few cams, and some other stuff up there. If we had more time, we could have gone back and got it the next day, but Sarah's schedule was too tight for that. Without a pen or pencil, we were not even able to write a note to ask for help getting our gear back. It was late, and Sarah had to work the next day, so we pretty much figured that was the last time we would see our gear. The next day, Sarah got a call from a distant friend asking if we had been on Castleton and if we had bailed on a malarkey ton of gear. Sarah said that we had, and her friend explained that a friend of his had also been there, seen our car at the parking lot, and surmised, when we were not there in the morning, that the gear must have belonged to the mystery car. So he called all of his climbing acquaintances, asked if anyone knew our car, and eventually tracked us down. Not only did this stranger, friend of a friend, return our gear to us, but he drove almost 2 hours out of his way to do so and refused any of our offers to buy him a beer in gratitude. To sum it up, went climbing, left a bunch, $300 plus, of gear with no hopes of getting it back. Random dude retrieved our gear, tracked us down, and drove out of his way to get it back to us. Every Christmas my mom always gets my dad the same thing, an act of kindness. We are so fortunate to be able to afford nice presents for everyone in the family and more. Because of this, my dad always wants to pay it forward, so my mom always helps someone financially. Last year she helped a local family by paying for both their kids to play football. They were playing already and were having trouble getting the payment, and giving them a healthy amount to live on due to the dad being fired. She also bought them pizza. My mom always puts a story of kindness in an envelope and puts it in the tree on Christmas morning. My dad is always happy. I know this will be buried, but I wanted to share. He was inspired by a similar story about a man buying low-cross gear for a less fortunate team. It would be cool if someone found it. I live in North Jersey. I was on the parkway headed to work to the Garden State Plaza and coming up to a toll booth. I do not use Ease Pass, so I got into a cash lane. As I approached it, the lady operating the booth told me the car in front of you had already paid for me. Feeling so fortunate, I gave the lady $3 and said this is for the next 2. Have a pleasant day. This only made me hope that this pay it forward chain of gratitude just continued. I worked in retail while I was in college. The place I worked at often had 15-20% discount coupons and dollar off coupons that were sent to customers who held the in-store charge/credit cards. I worked at Kohl's. During the Christmas shopping season last year, one of the customers who had finished with their transaction asked if they were allowed to hold on to their coupon they just used. I replied that they were, and the customer turned around and handed it to the person behind her. Now the people who had received it looked really thankful, and after they had finished with their transaction, they too in return passed it on to the people behind them. This went on for about 45 minutes to an hour. During one of the busiest times of day. You gotta remember it was during the holidays. School was out, and there were always long lines at the register, so a good chunk of people managed to get 20% off their transaction. I hate ducking working during this time of year. The store is crowded. There are more people looking for assistance than there are workers. Anyone who's worked a few days before Christmas knows what it's like. It's chaos. It's slightly restored my faith about working in retail. Truly a good sight to see. Best night ever at the bar this past Wednesday. It was crowded, cause everyone was back in town with their friends and just getting hammered and having a good time, and I went to get some more drinks and for everyone, and I was standing at the bar waiting for the bartender who was slaving away and started talking with the random guy beside me. Next thing you know he offers to buy my drink, and when I tell him I can't let him do that cause I'm buying for a malarkey ton of folks, he tells me it's not a problem. Don't worry, he insists. So I of course being in good spirit let him and then offer to buy the next round. Well, when I go to do so, I find out some other guy already did so cause he overheard our conversation take place, and then one of the bartenders pulls us aside and tells me and my new buddy that they now have no clue whose cards to charge anymore cause everyone is buying drinks for each other and not themselves anymore, and all of the tabs were left open and the buyers aren't the drinkers and everyone is confused as to who order what for who, and there are multiple orders. And people arguing on who turn it is to buy. The bartender said about 12 different people have bought drinks for other people/groups now at that time, all because of the simple generosity that was first shown. Edit. Alright, so I just looked at my credit card bill and I got mailed for a total of $108.50, which I'm assuming is including a nice tip too. The bar definitely figured out the billing cause my friends got this as well. To sum it up, We all got drunk for free. Christmas came early. Credit card roulette. While working as a barista at Borders, RIP, I had a little girl come up and order a mocha. I make it for her and hand it to her. She has an odd, disappointed look on her face, but she leaves with it anyway. She comes back with mom 5 minutes later who explains that she wanted a mocha frappe. Totally different. Now, usually when someone just orders the wrong thing I basically say tough it is ... because that's what the pictures and explanations on the board are for. As well as opening your mouth and asking if you do not know. But she was a little girl, and I felt sorry for her. I was having a malarkey day, so it annoyed me more than anything. But I felt bad enough to make her a new one. She came back later and gave me a $3 tip. It was sweet, and obviously money her mom had given her, which she could have spent on a lot of better things. It made me smile and be a lot less bitter that day. Years later, went through a Starbucks drive-thru. Went to pay and realized I had lost my wallet. The barista let me keep the drink anyway. Went and found the wallet. Came back and gave her a $5 tip. I do not think she expected to ever see me again. She was just being nice. Tip forwarding. Feels good. Whoa. Hey, take it easy, it is the end of the video. Do not worry, there are many more. Come aboard the ship for more trips. Like and subscribe for more posts from the Reddit Sea Cove. Thanks for watching.